how do you help those guys bridge the gap from that tension of, hey, man, I just don't feel like I'm there. I know who I want to be, but I'm just not that person who God's calling me to be.
Wow. Yeah. I want to say that you have to start, Nate, you have to start with this. Like, if you don't, I really believe that if you don't start with this, the foundation of anything you do will fall apart and it'll be fragile.
Yeah.
If you don't start with this one thing, this has to be the foundation of anything you do for God, or any shortcoming you feel like you have. It always starts from this one place. And what I do is, when men come to me and they feel like that and they experience that, I point them to the scriptures and I show them the key. And this is the key. I'm gonna highlight a few scriptures. Number one, when Jesus is in Simon the Pharisee's house, I believe if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's Luke chapter 5. And the promiscuous woman shows up at his house, breaks the alabaster box, start washing his feet. Simon says, very popular story, Simon says, if you knew who this woman was, you wouldn't be allowing her to wash your feet. And what Jesus says is so powerful, because it's a revelation, but it's also a recipe that could be followed. He said, she loves much because she has been forgiven much. Now, what Jesus wasn't saying was that Simon had been forgiven little.
Yeah.
What he was saying is that she got the revelation of how much she has been forgiven.
Yes. Yes.
So whether you're a Pharisee or you're a promiscuous woman, we all have been on the same boat, on the same ship, and we're all sinking. And so essentially what he's saying, hey, the key to loving God more is getting a greater revelation of the forgiveness that he's given you. Now, the Epistle of Peter, and I'm going to paraphrase this just for our listeners. He says, if you lack any of these virtues, and he talks about patience, he talks about love, he talks about kindness. He goes, to your faith, add this. To your generosity, add this. He goes through a list of things. Now watch this. And I think that this is the part that people miss. He says, if you lack in any of this, it may be because you've become nearsighted and forgotten that your sins have been forgiven. So if we go down the list, hey, you want more generosity? Hey, you want to be more patient? Hey, you want to have brotherly affection? You want to be able to do these things? Look what he says. If you lack in any of these things,
Yes. Yeah.
if you lack in any of these things, it's because you have become nearsighted and have forgotten that you've been forgiven. So what do you have to do? You got to go back to the forgiveness.
Yeah.
You got to go back to grace. You got to go back to what God has done for you. And when you begin to sink and soak and saturate yourself and immerse yourself in the forgiveness of God, it's almost like a waterfall of grace. When you begin to do that, it begins to flow out of you. It begins to, like, you're full of that, and now it overflows out of you. And so I always say, like, you know, what we often do is, like, we'll start doing like the 7-step stuff, the 4-step stuff. Hey, here's the best thing. Here's the 3 things that you can do to get better at this. And what I tell the men that I'm in their life is, number one, those are mechanisms that we use, and that's fine. Don't get me wrong. They're very helpful. You know, I know even 12-step programs are very helpful. I just don't want to mislead anybody into thinking that they're heart transformative.
That's so good. So heroic. That's right on. I mean, like you said, there's so much that's good there, but you got to be careful. Keep going. Sorry, I just did that. Excites me because I think so many times we miss that part. Like, you can change the outside. I can discipline myself and get better. But no, it's the heart.
Correct. And I lived it. I lived it for many years. Polished on the outside, you know, hypocrite on the inside, you know, polished on the outside. Wanted to portray an image that I didn't have in my heart.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say that I was earnest about it. But I definitely didn't want to appear. And that's why I lacked so much transparency at one point in my life. And so I never was able to deal with the heart until 2013. And so what I tell men is like, hey, these things are great, and these things are they're helpful tools and resources. But what changes the human soul is that revelation of the forgiveness of sins. And Peter he laid it out perfectly. He says, man, if you lack any of these things, is because you've been short-sighted and have forgotten. And so what do we have to do? We got to keep rehearsing and repeating and rehearsing and repeating and remembering and going over once again, hey, the forgiveness of sins, which essentially is the gospel.